How close are we to a 4-day workweek? I feel like the idea of a 4-day workweek is becoming more and more common as the idea spreads further through social media like TikTok. And with the growth of AI, the idea is getting closer to reality. Thoughts? News? Updates? I need something positive to know 3-day weekends might happen in my lifetime. Not at all, honestly. It's one of the demands of the striking UAW. But if it does happen, the change will be a trickle, not a dam break. Probably closer to a 6-day workweek than a 4. It might happen in our lifetimes. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. Remember, it took labor massacres to get the 12, 10, and 8-hour workdays, plus the weekend. Owners aren't going to give their slaves more freedom without a fight. Not even remotely close. Anytime people bring this up in real life, the concern is that people will make less money, lose their insurance. They don't understand that for the concept to work, we have to transition away from the idea that a full-time job means you work 40 hours. Go to paying by the task or make full-time mean 32 hours with the same annual pay that the employee got working 40 hours. Not in your lifetime. I think that the trend for remote hybrid work is an important step in that direction. The climate activists should also be promoting 4-day workweeks to reduce the pollution from commuting. About one socialist revolution away. In salaried professional roles, there is no discussion of 4-day workweek. It doesn't benefit the employer at all. They pay the same if you work 4 or 5 days. They just like that you are able to reach the customers 5 days a week. Same as we were 20 years ago. Nowhere near. We're closer to a 6-day week. Such changes only happen when workers fight for them unified as a class. Waiting for the elites to hand us concessions will not win us any. Nowhere near. Need at least 20 years of old people to die first. Not close. And it also shouldn't be the biggest priority. And yes, I would also like to work less hours days. For workers, the biggest factor and priority right now is going to be wages. People just don't make enough. And there are other factors, including the 4-day workweek, that are going to lead to a reduction in wages. Outside of wages, there's also the major issue of WFH. This is currently not a stable situation. And there hasn't been a balance between companies and workers. This issue would need to be resolved first before 4 days. And it's going to take years before it is. Sorry. It will only happen if people believe that it can happen. Lol. I don't think you don't know the history of work reform. I'm not endorsing anything. It's just a fact, but blood has to be shed. Most likely our own. Union baby, I'm already on a 4-day workweek. We are, I'm afraid, a long way away because unfortunately micromanagement is still a huge thing. CEOs won't even let people WFH without harassment. The same distance we are from UBI. Meaning we could start it tomorrow with the current infrastructure and appropriate effort, but the ultra-wealthy that own DC and every state's capital will spare no expense making sure it never happens. Not even close to this being a thing. Just because something is trending on TikTok and other socials doesn't mean it's actually a thing. But hey, at least we know the algorithms are working since you've been pushed so much content related to that topic that you actually think that's where the workforce is headed, lol. We're closer to World War III than we are to a 4-day workweek. I've had a 4-day workweek for almost 10 years on paper. The issue is everyone keeps calling out or quitting. So I have to pick up the slack, leaving me with no days off. For example, one person quit last month. I haven't had a day off in 3.5 weeks. It seems to be slowly catching on in tech and the nicer digital marketing companies. But we got a ways to go before other industries catch on. For me, it would only happen if the schools decided to become 4 days. I work at a school. Maybe in certain companies' sectors. It will not happen en masse. I work for a university and I'm pushing as hard as I can for 4 days. Let's fucking demand it. Perpetually an indeterminate time away would be my guess. Not gonna happen until workers take their rights back from the corporations. Employee benefit consultant here. I work with organizations large and small. Been doing this for 25 years. I'm currently an EVP for one of the largest brokerages firms in the world. In my opinion, it's never going to happen. The idea is openly laughed at in every boardroom in the country. We are closer to working 7 days than we are 4. Just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. The company I worked for in the 90s tested 980 and 410 workweeks. People loved it, but the company never rolled it out for whatever reason. And then they were bought out. I don't see it ever happening. You can have 4-day workweek right now. Just don't show up one of the weekdays. I won't go back to 5-day workweeks. It must be 4. I feel bad for people in the corporate world who can't. 100 years or more. 4/10s is the correct answer. 3-day weekend gives you 1 day to rest, 1 day to prepare for the week, and 1 day for whatever you want. They're worried about a population bust. Seems to me a 4-day workweek is the best way to address that without immigration. From my anecdotal experience, the last place I worked moved to a 4-day schedule while I was there. And my current job is strongly considering it. Of course, the trade-off is that they're 4/10s, when really wages should rise to standardize a 4/8 schedule while still paying the same overall. But it seems like the 40-hour week is a point of gospel among employers, even though objectively, every job I've had, there were at least 8 hours of that week that was paying people for dragging out the work that had to be done to fill it, or just for physically being there. In academia, it seems to be gaining ground for the summer months. Well, considering I've been working 50 hours 5 days a week for a while now, I'd say not close lol. Much closer to a 6-day week than 4. Closer to overthrowing capitalism LMAO. We're closer to a 6-day work week than a 4-day. Sorry but true. I work 4/10s and I know a lot of other people at other jobs doing the same. I think you're right that the idea is really taking off. Longer days but 3 days off is totally worth it. Don't care, it's a distraction. Not sure how it would work for people who work in factories etc. Seems to be an desk person thing. So just stop, we have bigger issues to deal with. I've got one. Granted, it's 4 10-hours days. Show me you've never shopped for a job in one Reddit post. This question is so dumb that it doesn't even merit a response. Become an hourly independent contractor. Then it is totally up to you. It's good and bad. I do it out of choice. I find the days you work you don't have much time after work to do much of anything other than one thing. Then, if you plan to do overtime, it will be on your day off, so you still have only the 2-day weekend, but you're really needing it by then. Only good thing about it is if you don't want to work the overtime, you do get the 3 days off. Pros and cons to it all.